On February 9th of 2004, 21-year-old UMass student Maura Murray drove from her dorm in Amherst, Massachusetts to the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
At approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura spun out her 1996 Saturn on a hairpin turn on Route 112 in North Haverhill. There has never been a credible sighting of Maura since.
Maura is 5 foot 7 inches tall. She weighs 120 pounds, and she has brown hair and hazel eyes.
If you have any information regarding Maura's disappearance, please submit it to us,
The Murray family at MauraMurrayFamilyDirect@gmail.com.
or the New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit.
This is Missing Maura Murray. Welcome back to Missing Maura Murray. I'm Tim, here today with Lance, not in the Crawlspace studios in Wormtown. Lance, how are you today?
I am doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing as well as I can be, too. I mean, it's a crazy time in this world. We're social distancing, we're working from home, and we're lucky enough to have vocations right now where we can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And as long as we are at home doing this, we know that there's a ton of people who are listening who are also at home trying to figure out how to make their particular vocation functional from a remote location. And if we can help, give you something to take your mind off of your sequestering, then we're going to do our best here. And we have some thoughts on the matter.
That's right. And we're actually going to do an extra episode per week, at least for a little while. I'm not sure how long, obviously, but we're going to try to do an extra episode per week, and we're going to try to do it live too. Maybe on YouTube. We're figuring the technical details out, but that will be on the Crawlspace feed later this week. And there will be some live ability to interact with us when we are recording this, but stay tuned to our social pages. We will send out a link and things like that. I think we're doing it on Thursday. Lance, later in this episode, we are going to play a conversation that we had with you, me, Patrick Hinds of True Crime Obsessed, and Maggie Freleng of the Disappearance of Maura Murray documentary on Oxygen.
And that was a really fun conversation because we had originally scheduled it when we thought that there was going to be a show, and then we found out that the show was canceled because of the COVID-19, and it turned into just sort of a goofy conversation at times. It's kind of hard to stay on track with Patrick. He is brilliantly meandering, which is really fun. We do talk about the show, the rescheduling, but it is a very amusing conversation to listen to.
Okay, so we'll play that conversation for the last 20 minutes of this episode. But Lance, we've come to that segment again, that weekly segment. On this date in 2004, Brianna Maitland went missing from Montgomery, Vermont. She was 17 at the time. And of course, if you've been a longtime listener of ours, then you know we've done a extensive series on the disappearance of Brianna Maitland. Those episodes are on this feed as well as on the Crawlspace feed, so you may want to go back and binge those.
Yeah, we can't let this date come and go without mentioning it. March 19th, 2004. She's often categorized in with Maura Murray just because of the proximity of her car that was abandoned. The age is pretty similar, and the time frame, it was about a little over a month after Maura went missing. And we have developed a relationship with Bruce. Bruce has taken everything that he has experienced with Brianna's disappearance, and he has translated that into something as positive as he possibly can with his nonprofit organization, Private Investigations for the Missing. You can check out all the cases, and you can check out updates on investigationsforthemissing.org.
That's right, and we're going to have an interview with private investigators Greg Overacker and Lou Barry very soon to these airwaves, and they're going to be talking about the Erica Franelich case. She is a missing woman from New York, and so we will be getting into that with them very soon. But Lance, I wanted to play this video from Private Investigations for the Missing. You can check it out at investigationsforthemissing.org, or you can listen to it right here. It's a few minutes, and it's Bruce Maitland talking about the nonprofit and the importance for donations. Obviously, this is a trying time, so we're really not pushing it that way. We just want to introduce you to this video because we never played it here, and I feel like this is a good episode to play this in.
Yeah, it's a perfect time to play it right at the anniversary of Brianna's disappearance. This video was produced, written, shot, edited by our good friend Jennifer Amell, who contributes to this show by putting together bullet points and sort of case files for missing people through Private Investigations for the Missing, and that's where we get the cases like Robert Cox, like Morgan Bauer, etc. So Jennifer not only puts together those for us, but she is a independent filmmaker. She did this with Bruce, and don't fast forward through this. This is very important to listen to. Bruce really wears about as much emotion on his sleeve as possible, and it's inspirational as well as heart-wrenching.
As this holiday season approaches, for families of missing people, when their loved one goes missing, everything changes. It's been 15 years since my daughter Brianna went missing, and not a holiday goes by that she's not on my mind. I mean, how I kind of deal with my daughter's disappearance, I describe it as a room that I go into with a lot of memories, and it's difficult sometimes to deal with those memories. And I knew that starting an organization like this, that kind of stuff would have to come up. So it took a while before I was mentally ready to be able to do that. You have to make something good come out of all this. And the best way that I knew to make something good come out of Brianna being missing was to help other people. What people don't realize is that just the costs of private investigators, by the time you pay them for their expenses on the road, travel, motels, and then an hourly fee, which can range from $60 to $100, it would not be uncommon to have a private investigator working for more than $1,500 a week. There's just so many of these cases don't get any coverage in the media, particularly people of color especially. They just, they're almost passed over. I'm sure all of you have seen, different missing persons cases, and they're usually upper middle class, white people that get highlighted, and really, really young kids. That's why I started Private Investigations for the Missing, a nonprofit that pairs qualified investigators to help families find their missing loved ones. Private Investigations for the Missing is a solution to this problem that's out there, and it's a problem that not many people are really aware of, but especially to you folks in the true crime genre. I mean, you watch these shows, you enjoy different shows. It's very interesting, but behind every show, there's a hurting family out there, and they need more than just your interest. They need your help. So please, go check us out on our website, Private Investigations for the Missing. Find out a little bit more about us. Look over the board members and see the quality of people that we have working and find out more on our mission. And please donate while you're there. There's a GoFundMe button right there, and you can really make a difference and help us out. Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you because we want you to be part of the mission and part of the community of other people that have seen this need that's out there and really want to help. There's a statement called overcoming evil with good, and that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, thanks for listening to that. That was Bruce Maitland with Private Investigations for the Missing. Check it out at investigationsforthemissing.org. And we wanted to let you know about Crawlspace. There's a great episode this week where we discuss the unsolved murder of Sheila Shepard from 1980 with the original investigator. His name is Tom Mitchell. And this is a series we've been doing on Crawlspace. So make sure to binge that. I think it's a really fascinating series. And we do have a documentary element to go along with it that is coming together behind the scenes too, Lance.
Yeah, it's always unfolding. This is a case that we were approached by the investigators Callahan and Wilson at the ASOC conference in Albany in April of last year, and they wanted to figure out a way where they could utilize the platform and talk about this case, and they were given the approval by their superiors to do so. And we're in communication with them. We went out there for a couple of days and filmed with them, and that's the material, that's the content that you're getting when you hear it on Crawlspace. And there is going to be more. There's going to be more documentary parts to this, and there's going to be more episodes to it because it is always unfolding, and they really are utilizing us for better or worse.
And Lance, now to the sad news. If you haven't heard already, our shows this weekend coming up in Boston and Philadelphia with True Crime Obsessed, the popular podcast True Crime Obsessed. Those shows have been postponed. There are some dates in August. I believe August 8th is supposed to be the rescheduled Boston show, and I believe it's August 28th that is the rescheduled Philadelphia show. So if you have tickets or if you bought tickets to the original ones, they will be transferred to these new ones, and if you can't go, I think you can get a full refund from True Crime Obsessed. So stay tuned there. August is going to be big for us, Lance, if this virus can mostly pass through, because we have another show that we're doing in August in Wormtown.
Right. I just want to say one quick thing about the True Crime Obsessed shows. Those locations are still the same. The Boston show is going to be at Royale, and the Philadelphia show is still at Underground Art. So check out their website. Also check out crawlspace-media.com. And while you're there, there's a ton of other shows that the Crawlspace network is promoting and has within the our little family here. So if you get tired of listening to you and I, Tim, you can listen to. I know it's a long shot there, but you can listen to Bill Thomas on Mind Over Murder. You can listen to Lee Meller on Murder Was a Case or LA Not So Confidential with the Good Doctors, Shiloh and Scott. There's a ton of content there for your time in quarantine. But you had just brought up our August, and hopefully we have the ability and we're able to maybe pull back the reins on the social distancing a little bit. We have a show at the brand new Brick Box Theater in Worcester, that is on Franklin Street in Worcester, Massachusetts, not to be confused with Worcester, England.
That's right.
And it's part of the JMAC Cultural Coalition. And brand new theater getting built right now. They're going to have some sort of soft opening once people are able to be out and about. And we took a tour of the new theater, and we have been in talks with Heather Bish, Molly Bish's sister, as well as the senator of Massachusetts from Worcester, Ann Goby. And we are putting together our first live show in Worcester at that location on August 22nd of this year.
Yeah, so let's hope it can go off without a hitch. Let's hope everyone stays safe and is healthy out there, and this virus can mostly pass through. And so, Lance, you mentioned Dr. Lee Meller just a few moments ago. He's got a show that's on the Crawlspace Media Network. It's called Murder Was the Case. Lance, you and I did a wide-ranging marathon drinking party show with him just the other night, and we're going to play a clip from it here. But we also want to invite you to listen to the entire thing and to subscribe to Murder Was the Case. There are links in the show notes. Dr. Lee Meller is a criminologist from Canada, and he does a great show.
Yeah, and he had said set aside something intoxicating, which had to do with topics as well as beverages, and a few hours. And I was like, a few hours? And then it turned out to be like just about 3 hours. My legs fell asleep while we were doing it because I couldn't move. It was incredible conversation. So fun. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we did get into Maura Murray for maybe 20 minutes, a half an hour, or something like that.
So you can check that out on the Murder Was the Case Patreon page.
Okay, Lance, and we wanted to read a couple of emails before we play the audio from Patrick Hinds and Maggie Freleng from that conversation. And earlier you mentioned the disappearance of Robert Wayne Cox, and we did do an episode on that recently. I believe it was the last episode we did. And we spoke about how he could have been poisoned potentially because his physical ability to move really went downhill very quickly, almost suspiciously quickly, in my opinion. And so we had an email from someone named Carly who says heavy metal poisoning could possibly have influenced Robert Cox's neurological function, and exposure can lead to diseases such as dementia in certain cases.
Yeah, that was a solid point there. I guess you have to measure how much exposure he would have had to have, escalated as quickly as it did. Also, it can remain dormant in you for a little while and then escalate quickly. So, yeah, we totally appreciate that because we were going down a poisoning route. We were going down all these dark paths, and there might be more less sinister alternative to his decline in health.
And here's another email we got from someone named Null. Null says, I am wondering if it has ever been thought of that the phone call Maura received, and this is about Maura Murray, was an admittance that her boyfriend had cheated on her with her sister, prompting the shock and, quote, my sister comments, which then led to a phone call with her boyfriend around midnight for 7 minutes, which maybe led to her getting away. So obviously, a lot of things have been thought of. I do not think that is possible at all when you consider Bill and Julie. I think that's what this person is talking about, or maybe Kathleen, I don't know. But I don't think there's any evidence to support that.
Well, we do appreciate every single bit that comes our way that's a thought experiment. I think that's my new coined term for at least the next few months. It is an interesting thought experiment to have. However, if you look at things that happened on either side of that phone call, there's been nothing to indicate that there was an affair between Bill and one of Maura's sisters before or after her disappearance. There's really no indication based on communication between Maura and Bill that she was approaching him about some sort of secret affair.
Yeah, and there's been obviously a lot of speculation out there about a lot of people in this case, Maura's ex-boyfriend Bill included. And we have been in contacts with him through email and, trying to set up a time to record with him. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but just for the people who are emailing asking if that's going to happen, that is something that we're trying to make happen.
And for the record, Bill is trying to make this happen as well. So this isn't a one-sided request. This is something that we're working through. And the timing with the COVID-19 is thrown a bit of a monkey wrench in it. But, what can you do? There will be something with Bill soon.
And one more email here from someone named Emily. She says, love the podcast. You guys have done a great job. She says, I've been out of the loop in the whole podcast thing in general up until about a year ago, and I've been slowly making my way through the obvious shows. I was hesitant to start this one because there are so many episodes, but I've been listening steadily through the last month, coincidentally, starting 3 days before the anniversary of when Maura went missing. Welcome aboard, Emily. Thank you for listening. She says, I've reached the episode with Michelle, Maura's old coworker, and in all these episodes, I'm surprised this never really was said out loud, but weird things happen every day. Every accident is different, and not everything is explainable. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't discuss those details, but I feel like no one's really stated that most of these details will never have an explanation. And she uses an example. Last week, I put my keys in the fridge, her car keys, right next to the milk. And she says, imagine if I went missing right after that. And that's a fair point.
It is a really fair point, and thank you so much for the email, and keep those compliments coming. We love them. But seriously though, I think that's something that we've all, I guess, kind of said like in between the lines. Like we haven't directly said that, some of these things will never be figured out, and weird things happen all the time. People do strange things all the time. We've sort of indicated that we're aware of that, but I'm really thrilled that Emily was able to identify this, articulate it, and we wanted to make sure that her email was given a bit of a spotlight.
Right. And she goes on to say life is weird, and there's never more evidence of that than what's going on right now. She goes on to say, as for the overall case and what happened to Maura, she says, there is an answer, and I'm confident one day we will get it, and everyone will know what happened to that beautiful soul. So thank you very much to Emily and to all of our listeners out there. And let's play that interview with Maggie Freleng and Patrick Hinds, Lance.
All right. Roll tape.
Thank you very much for listening. Welcome back to Missing Maura Murray. We are being joined now by the wonderful Patrick Hinds and Maggie Freleng. What is up?
You guys, I love you. Hi.
We love you too.
You guys are as handsome as Maggie is beautiful.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh, Patrick.
Well, Maggie, maybe that wasn't so much a compliment.
I don't know if you've met us.
A compliment.
That might
Such
be true.
a compliment.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Well, guys, are you excited for our show coming up next week?
Girl, it got canceled.
What?
Girl.
We were canceled.
No. We weren't canceled. We were postponed. I'm sorry. We were postponed.
We were postponed because...
We were Patty La postponed. I just made that up. I told you everything I say is hilarious.
Well, that's accurate.
Yeah, it's all gold.
And this is a tragic twist for these shows that we had in Boston and in Philly, March 2020. But they are going to be rescheduled for some time in the future when coronavirus is not canceling everything.
Right, yeah, and we by the time this airs, we should have actual dates on the book. This is not like a hypothetical rescheduling. This is really, really, really being rescheduled. So we're looking at like late August, early September. So if anybody has tickets, your tickets will just transfer right over. If for whatever reason you can't make that date, of course we'll understand and you'll be refunded.
Patrick, why are we rescheduling for so later? Like, why not June?
I think because, well, number one, we're playing Broadway in June, so that I think our sights are going to be sort of set on that. I don't know if you've heard of Broadway, but it might not still exist by the time June rolls around. But yeah, so I think like our schedule is just crazy, and I think we were trying to push it off as far as we possibly could in the hopes that like everything will be more under control by then and people will be able to like go do things. I mean, I'm no doctor, but don't tell my mom, but I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't say this. We're postponing till August of 2024. So there should be a really good handle on it then.
Yeah, and we're postponing because of this bad haircut that I got. So I'm hoping that by August 2024 it will have grown out and everything will be back to normal.
Just color it in with some Sharpies.
That is a really, really good idea.
Yeah, but it is truly tragic, and the thing about it is we don't want. It's not about like us being afraid of any risk personally. It's a matter of it just takes one person. I feel strange even saying this. I feel like I am in The Stand by Stephen King. It's like one person could not have any symptoms because they're in the age range that does not, you're not that affected by it. But if you have it, I mean, the shit is airborne. It lasts in the air for hours. So it's a matter of one person.
Is it airborne? No, it's
yes.
Well, there's like new
airborne.
reporting out today that says it's airborne. So I don't know. I mean,
oh my God. I was on the subway yesterday being like,
See? There we go.
Why haven't you all moved in with us yet? I don't understand why we're not a happy little commune in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, let's get on that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Open invitation. Also, Lance, it is a little bit about us. I mean, truly, I don't want anybody getting sick, but I also definitely do not want to get sick.
Yeah, it's a scary time. Are you at your office now, Patrick?
Yeah, it's weird. We're like moving offices. So we have an old office, which I'm at right now. And then there's like the new office down the block, but it's all within walking distance of where we live. But it happens to also be like walking distance through Times Square. So yay.
Yeah, there's not too many people in Times Square.
No.
You guys, it's also my new office.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
big
it's
announcement
Maggie's new
here.
office too. Yes. Are we announcing here, Mags? Let's do it.
Might as well.
Patrick, we might as well. Let's talk about this.
Please
Yeah.
tell us.
Yeah, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Tim and Lance, but now it's about me.
That's okay. Because once this episode's over, we go right back to gossip potting. So
Yeah.
make it about you for a little while.
Gossip potting. That's amazing. Somebody see if that domain is available.
We already did. Don't worry about it. That's
They have shirts now, Gossip Pod shirts.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. But yeah, we're making a new podcast. You guys, Maggie Freleng has a new podcast coming out.
Let's hear about it. What's it about?
Can we talk about it, Patrick?
Of course, yeah, go for it.
Okay. So
Well,
Patrick,
wait, let's actually not. I got in trouble with the PR company yesterday for oh my God, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm so
Don't
sorry.
worry about it.
Because we want to make like a big announcement with Maggie,
Yeah.
so we should wait. Mags, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I can't believe we just like took up 5 minutes.
Well, tell us about your new network, Patrick. You're starting some new shows on your
Yeah.
Obsessed network. So what's going on?
Thanks for asking. So yeah, what we decided to do was sort of like take the success of True Crime Obsessed and sort of like broaden it. So we have the Obsessed Network where we are launching a bunch of new original podcasts. We're making one with Maggie that we can't talk about yet, but it's like underway. Hey girl,
tease.
hello.
you gonna get that draft back to me today, or what's happening?
Today's a little tough, boss man. Patrick is now my boss. So
No.
I like how this has become like a conference call too.
Yeah,
The audience is getting the full
totally.
story here.
But yeah, so we're making a bunch of new podcasts. We have another one that we've announced called Obsessed with Disappeared, which is it's a TCO, it's a True Crime Obsessed spinoff where my good friend Ellen Marsh and I are recapping episodes of the ID show Disappeared. We're going in order. It's a true crime comedy podcast, just like True Crime Obsessed. And we've got some other things happening. We just launched our first original show called Obsessed with Abducted in Plain Sight.
I listened to the whole thing already.
What did you think?
It was better than the actual documentary.
Don't say that. Well, so I made the podcast with Skye Borgman, who directed the documentary, and it's a 4-episode binge that's basically like a year later, sort of revisiting it, getting stories that were left out of the documentary, new interviews, like plot twists that were left out of the documentary. We have a new interview with Jan Broberg. And it's really interesting. If that documentary sort of blew your mind, just like listen to the new stuff we tell you in the podcast. It's crazy. So yeah, so that's what we're doing.
What a faux pas from Maggie right there. Next thing she's going to say is the Oxygen documentary is better than Missing Maura Murray.
What? Cut it out. My new thing is, it was amazing. And I loved that all of the stuff that was in the documentary made it into the podcast.
You guys, what's going on over at Crawlspace? What's happening over there?
The Lord's work.
Before we move to us, can we hear about Broadway? What's going on with your appearance on Broadway? Congrats on that, too.
Thank you. You know, so for True Crime Obsessed, we are going to be the first podcast to ever play Broadway. And it's really like the realization of a dream come true for Jillian and I. Jillian's my co-host. And we, you know, we're theater kids. Like, we both had dreams when we were little kids of like being Broadway actors, and neither one of us were talented enough to do that. And so we found another way. And it's going to be our, you know, what we do for our live shows. It's going to be wild and crazy. And we have some of our fancy Broadway friends are going to be there and they're going to perform. You know, we're just like, we still can't believe it's happening. It's Monday, June 1st. It's at the Hayes Theater on Broadway. We're sold out.
Wow.
Yeah,
you guys don't think you'll have to cancel that, do you?
I really, it will be, that will be the last thing we will do. Like, if we're going to cancel that, we're going to cancel it 15 minutes before.
Guys, I think you might have plenty of time. I mean, it's just the little over the first week, little past the first week in March.
Yeah.
We're talking like 1.5 months here.
Yeah.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong in 2.5 months?
We're going to try to not Patty postpone this.
Do not. Well, I think you should Patty trademark that Patty postpone.
Yeah, I know.
That's amazing. But what was that like? I'm really, I personally don't have, I mean, having a job where I get to sit across from Tim and talk about true crime was like the pinnacle. Like, there's nothing more for me. What was it like when you first heard that you were going to do Broadway with Jillian? I know you said that you still can't wrap your head around it. Who gave you the news? Like, how did the news come to you?
So we kind of gave the news to ourselves. Like, it was something that was really, really hard to make happen.
Wait, so is it actually happening, or did you just tell each other it was happening?
It's really happening. We had to like really go out there and make it happen. So, we had to, we are producing this whole thing ourselves top to bottom. So my husband, Steve, is our business manager. He and I started like pounding the pavement, trying to find theaters that would take us seriously. We knew we were going to have to find a theater that would let us do a show on their off night. And we just started calling the different organizations that own the theaters, and people were basically just hanging up on us. Like, they heard like podcasts. I mean, it is astronomically expensive to rent a Broadway theater. It's just ridiculous. And yeah, and that's what we're doing. And so, we're totally losing money on this, but we finally found a theater that took us seriously. The Hayes Theater is owned by Second Stage Theater Company, and they're a wonderful, wonderful theater company. And they believed in us, and they thought, like, all right, we're going to give you a shot. And so, we sort of went and did the walkthrough, and then we're like, oh my God, this is our theater. And then it just became months and months of back and forth. Like, because we're the first podcast to ever do it, there are so many different unions that go into making Broadway shows happen. There's like the stagehand union and the costume designers union and the directors union. And we had to negotiate with every single one of them. And so that's what the back and forth was just trying to figure out getting all the contracts done. Now, if another podcast wants to come in and do it, the contract is now set. We did the work for them. But being the first, it just took forever. And we finally got the we wanted to announce this like in December, and we didn't get to announce it until like mid-February because we just weren't sure. And so we finally got the news. And I remember when we finally got the email that the contracts were signed and everything was done, I just like burst into tears, as per my brand.
Right.
And I just sat there like, and then when the tickets went on sale, that was another moment of like, oh my God, just like looking at the actual like virtual theater and like seeing the seats. It's good. And I was saying yesterday to Jillian and Steve, like, there's a part of me that is truly afraid that I'm going to walk out onto that stage and completely lose it. Like, just start crying and not being able to stop. And Jillian was like, girl, that's just every day for you. So it's fine.
Yeah, and I think the audience will completely understand, and I think that'll be some one of the endearing qualities of your shows. Because how many times would you go to Broadway and see a show where the performer comes out and immediately loses it in the form of tears, happy tears?
Patrick, how many seats did you say it was?
It's 585 seats.
Good for you.
Yeah, and so then, my high school drama teacher is coming and my high school musical theater teacher is coming. I know. It's going to be ridiculous. I'm going to just cry the whole time.
Were all the people that are coming that told you that you'd never be anything in life, did you invite them too?
It's so funny. Like, I wish I could invite the professors from college who were like, you're not a good actor. Stop doing this. Because I'm like, oh, the only problem is that they were totally right. And they actually steered me in the right direction. So I guess I can't be too mad.
Oh, so it was good advice. But I feel like this is such a great opportunity to, because it's a hard life, right? Being a performer, being an actor, going to New York. You're from Massachusetts. You're from a smallish town in Massachusetts, but going to New York is a huge change. And then, I mean, in short time, you find yourself on Broadway performing your own thing. Like, that is, it's amazing. And I don't know, like, for me, I would be like, my first guest list would be all the people who said that, this isn't going to work.
It was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because, we weren't thinking so much about it because we had all these shows booked with you guys and like with Rabia and Susan from Undisclosed before that. So we kind of gave us a buffer of not having to like get nervous about it. But now that's going to be our first like show of the year. So now we're just like, oh my God, we kind of can't stop thinking about it.
Wow.
Sorry, did you have to cancel the other live shows as well?
Yeah, we postponed everything through. So we were doing this like in two phases. We postponed everything through April. Right now, our shows in Seattle and San Francisco are still on the books, and we're just going to have to play that by ear. But anything that gets canceled right now will be postponed with a new date. So we're not canceling anything. We're just postponing stuff.
Very good.
Right.
Well, to get one more thing on your Broadway show, I had a friend of mine who is an employer of mine, an entrepreneur type guy, successful, and he said that there are 3 things that you need to look for when you're taking on a new endeavor, and that is whether it's creatively fulfilling, financially fulfilling, and has some sort of social impact. And if you can hit 2 out of those 3, then you know you're on the right track. So
that's amazing.
Even though you said you're going to lose money, I think you got a solid handle on the other 2.
Oh, Lancey, you're so sweet. Will you guys come? Maggie's coming. Will you guys come to the show?
Maybe. That would be
Full
great.
hazmat gear, I'll be there.
Okay, amazing. And bring your significant others.
That would be amazing.
Tim, I will tolerate her.
Oh boy, if I had a nickel for every time Lance told me that old adage about his old coworker. My God.
Oh, really? It's such a good. I mean, that really is. You know, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought you were being serious. I'm like, it's a really sweet thing to say.
Can you tell us what documentary you're doing on Broadway?
Yes, we're covering Frank Serpico, which is a new documentary on Netflix, which is about Frank Serpico, which the movie Serpico is about, with Al Pacino. And so apparently I've never seen the movie. I still haven't watched the documentary yet, but he's like a detective from New York, and he's like just a character. And it's if you have ever listened to True Crime Obsessed, you know that like Jillian, when we do the New York documentary, she does like her New York accents are just out of control, and it's just going to be amazing. And it's like, you know, our friends that are performing in the show, Justin Guarini, who's like a big Broadway actor, but you might remember him as the season 1 runner-up on American Idol.
Yep.
And so, you know, he's going to perform. And my friend Leslie Margarita, who's an Olivier Award winner, which is like the like London West End Tony Award equivalent. And she's amazing. And my best friend Ellen Marsh, and so like the show is going to be crazy. We're definitely doing the recap, but we're also going to have these like crazy live performances. It's going to just be bananas.
Wow. From Justin to Patrick Hinds. I love it.
Listen, don't think I don't make that joke every single goddamn day.
Oh man. Well, that is some exciting stuff there, and I just want to reiterate again for anyone who's listening, the shows in Boston and Philadelphia are postponed, no longer the 20th or the 21st, and the date
I'm sorry,
will be
they're
coming
what?
up. Postponed.
They're Patty La postponed.
Oh, Patty. Well, I didn't want to get I feel like it's a who's the guy who does the Let's Get Ready to Rumble thing, which we probably are going to get
Michael Buffer.
Michael Buffer.
It's a trademark.
I didn't want to infringe on your trademark. But yes.
Lance, you can infringe on my trademark anytime.
Oh, I feel like there's a double meaning there. I feel like there's a very subtle double meaning, but like the NBA, we are postponing.
Right.
It's just one of the million things I have in common with the NBA. I can't even begin to tell you.
You're a huge NBA fan, right?
Huge.
What does it stand for?
Huge. National Boylston Street Association.
Yes.
It's where everyone goes on Boylston.
I nailed it.
Is that real?
Is that real?
It's not basketball?
It's basketball.
Proving that Maggie is more of a gay man than even me.
Oh, God.
Are you guys going to CrimeCon? Are they going to cancel CrimeCon?
Gosh.
I think they're canceling CrimeCon.
But we
Are
are
they? How do you know?
we are going. There's been no official announcement of this recording that CrimeCon is postponing or canceling or anything like that. We are scheduled to be there and very excited about it if it happens.
Yeah, I love CrimeCon.
But why do you think they're going to cancel it?
Because I think it's too... Again, I don't want to say that there's inside information here at all. I'm just seeing as like the way everything is being postponed and canceled right now. It's not a essential event where people have to go and risk spreading something. There's a lot of people that come from overseas there too.
You know, if Nancy Grace got coronavirus, I'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, she's in that age bracket where she'd be fine.
Tom Hanks
That's
has
true.
coronavirus.
I know. How dare the Chinese give it to Tom Hanks?
Well, isn't it? There's a couple of things about that are fascinating to me. I think it's really telling. If anyone debates the checks and balances of the universe, it's the same day that Harvey Weinstein gets 23 years in prison, where America's treasure Tom Hanks gets coronavirus. It's just a balance of the universe. Tom Hanks was in Australia filming an Elvis movie.
Which, by the way, in Australia, you can just walk into any clinic and get a test. That's how he found out. Also, New York Times literally said Tom Hanks and his wife, Rita. How dare you refer to her as his wife, Rita? She was on an episode of The Brady Bunch.
Oh my God.
I know. When
How
did she get
dare you,
demoted to
New
his
York Times.
wife, Rita?
Yeah, God.
It should have been that. It should have been the person in the episode of the Brady Bunch
It should
and
have
her
been like,
husband, Tom Hanks.
Brady Bunch actress and little-known husband get coronavirus on location in Australia.
No, it should have been Brady Bunch actress and the guy from Bosom Buddies,
Yeah. Exactly.
not the
Exactly.
nerdy one.
How about like lady who tolerated being married to Tom Hanks for 30 years and her husband get coronavirus? You know he's insufferable in real life. You know he is.
Oh, he probably
God.
he has a couple of drinks and then he starts doing his Forrest Gump. Imagine him at like Thanksgiving.
Totally. I feel like he just gets out of bed and does good deeds all day, and I would just want to kick him. Oh,
Yeah.
look who's being selfless again.
Yeah, the son of a bitch.
It's just the
Son
roles
of
he
a
chooses. He's probably nasty.
Exactly.
Oh, he's probably nasty.
Just a dick. He's also probably dead of coronavirus at this point. Poor thing.
Okay, everyone, thanks a lot for listening, and thanks to Patrick and Maggie for joining us. We'll be back next week.